Hey, when you was with Interscope, why weren't you able to put no album out?
Well, I don't know no politically correct way to say nothing.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But well, part of my deal was Epidemic Interscope.
Mm.
I was also a partner in the deal, but I made sure, part of the bargain to stay, I guess a determining factor in my own deal, I had to not show my imprint. So, if a CD would have came out, it's back when CDs was getting pressed. If a CD would have came out on the back of the CD, it wouldn't have shown my imprint. Back then, imprints meant something. It was super fucking important. So I had to sacrifice my imprint in order to stay in charge, if that makes any sense. And so it really was Marvel, which is my label. It was Marvel, Epidemic, Interscope. But, on the surface, it was Epidemic, Interscope. And what happened, a lot of funny, Cool and Dre ain't the greatest businessman in no shape, form, or fashion. I learned that out the hard, I found that out the hard way. And I think me coming from the background that I come from, when I got into the music industry, shit became like nobody had, it's different. It's a little different now because I get to dictate it. But when I came in, like, people wouldn't have conversations on the emails. Like, we can sit right here for hours and kick the shit. And then later I'm gonna head back to my hotel and then I'm gonna get an email from y'all to say we need to do this, this, and this. We could have discussed that shit.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
so a lot of that was irritating for me because I'm an in-person kind of person. I felt like, if you got something to say to me, it's supposed to be spoken to me. Yeah. Don't email me and it's got fucking 8 people CC that I don't even know who these 8 people are. Yeah, little do I know, you got 2 attorneys and, the fucking account. You got all kinds of people in it that, 1, I never met, and 2, ain't really a part of whatever this discussion is. But either way, a lot of that happened, and I'm pretty sure I made it harder for the shit to function because I wouldn't lay down. And ultimately, Cool and Dre was in the Interscope building, and the way I rock, I don't believe in multiple people handling being middlemen, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If we're doing something, one of us represents all of us. Mm-hmm. So, I wasn't about to go in the Interscope building. I'm pushing one thing and Cool and Dre pushing one thing because Interscope don't know that we ain't rocking. They don't know we ain't on the same page. And they, that's where the money's going to come from. Mm-hmm. So they're the last people we need to know.
Yeah.
So in turn, what was happening, Cool and Dre, who, they had the experience, or so I thought, they was going in the building and they was supposed to be speaking for me, and
they were speaking on your behalf,
right? But in real time, what they was doing, they was going in pushing a whole nother artist.
Ah, damn!
And that irritated Interscope.
Yeah, rightfully so. Yeah,
right. But this is shit I didn't know it was happening.
Yeah.
I just so happened to get real close with Mark Brown and Mel Carter. They both passed away, but either way, I got real close with them, and they started hipping me to shit that was going on in the building. I'm in Memphis, and they in L.A., even though they based in Miami. That's a whole other thing. Shit. Either way,
there's too many factors.
They fly into L.A., and it's on my dime. You sign a record deal, everything that happens, you got to recoup that shit. So I don't even know they doing private jets and first class flights to L.A. back and forth. So, and then they eventually got a condo in L.A. All this is me paying for it.
No.
But I'm in Memphis. No. Either way, they was going in the building and they was pushing for they other artists that didn't have a deal. And Interscope's like, this ain't who we signed. We signed Trip. Where's the Don Trip music? Meanwhile, I had like 70 records recorded. They didn't play a single record. I just happened to come one time with Mel. No, with Mar. I came one time with Mar, and we sit down with like the head of radio and shit, and they like, man, when you gonna bring us some music? I'm like, Cool and Dre been up here 6-7 times. They ain't brought you no music. It's like, no, they keep bringing us this other. I won't say her name, cause she, I got no gripe with her.
Yeah,
they keep bringing us this other shit. We ain't asked for that. Right. In real life, you owe it. We paid y'all. It's time for y'all to deliver. So when they told me that, I'm like, I was, I knew nothing about that. Either way, from all of that, it was a bunch of empty promises. They come tell me, and that made it even more volatile because now I can't really take your word. Yeah. They come to me and tell me, Jimmy Iovine insists that we put a hook on letter to my son. They said Jimmy Iovine insists, so I'm like, all right, we got to make it happen. Yeah. Fast forward, the reason behind it was you couldn't put a record on the radio without a hook. And then Jay-Z and Kanye West did fucking Otis with no hook.
Right. No hook on
changed everything. Right. But all the shit's happening in the same time. So when that happened, again, that I don't really know who to believe. After I signed with Jimmy, I never saw Jimmy again. Oh, yeah. So it wasn't like I could go and, hey, let me call Jimmy. The number changed and everything. So it wasn't like I could holler at him about it. Mm-hmm. So there was no way for me to know, what's really happening. I don't know if they made that shit up to because they turned around and Street Runners, who originally made the beat, and then them guys went not Street. I want to say Street Runner. Either way, they turned around and added a sound that none of us can identify. They added a sound so they can get publishing off of producing the beat. But it was never their beat. Right. And then they didn't want to pay the original producer.
It was never their beat and they could just take that.
And it's just a tricky business.
So they be stealing
beats.
And
that's what I learned.
Bandplay just said that.
Bandplay just said
But see, that's what I learned. I learned that a lot of the activities that go on is just out-shysting each other. Mm-hmm. And I ain't really designed for that. I don't know how to rock like that.
Yeah. Let me ask you something, because you went to YouTube, which I'm assuming like you did that by yourself, right? There wasn't nothing like they did. Like obviously hindsight is always gonna be 20/20. Do you think that like out the gate you never would have tried to get on with the label and you just did your own thing just from jump, or do you think like even still getting with a label still got you, I don't know, like eyes or publicity?
I don't know. If's the biggest word in the dictionary.
Yeah.
I don't know. That shit could have went either way. I'll say the path I chose, it gave me enough money to build my own studio with the signing bonus. From building my own studio, as you can see, I started off with my own studio. Yeah. So when I built my own studio, that gave me my independence back, even though I was still signed. Okay. Cool and Dre fucked it up so well that when it was time for me to get out of the deal, I didn't have to put up much of a fight. I sat with Interscope. They did the audit, so you can see all of the shit that we spent money on.
Yeah. The first class flights and all that stuff. Everything was on that list. It was easy for them to be like, yeah.
Right, but the greatest thing about it, this studio that the signing bonus, helped me acquire, I got cameras, and cameras show just about everything but the bathroom. Mm-hmm. So the dates don't match up. You're looking at this footage, and this footage say I'm in Memphis at this time and day. Yeah. How could I possibly be on a first class flight at the exact time? Right. How can I be in the studio in Miami at the exact time? Mm-hmm. So all the shit that they was running up, Interscope was just like, well, you owe us this, and I'm like, I own my studio, so. They don't know that, the studio owner. It's like, well, y'all owe us this from, I got footage that shows I'm in the studio. Y'all owe a recording budget. They like, we pay the recording budget. They pay Cool and Dre a recording budget, which they use to record Games album. Yeah. But, right, that's what I mean when I say they fucked it up so well. The Interscope said, well, listen, you free and clear.
You good. Yeah, you good, gang.
They told me to call, her name was Sarah something, call the accountant. They gonna touch bases. I hit her. I was free and clear.
That's love.
That's right. Crazy. So again, I don't know.
I mean, not love, but it's like the actual situation kind of worked out. Yeah. Because you own your stuff, you got,
Yeah,
that's a lot of shiesty shit.
I ain't get to own the music because the music technically was never paid for.
Okay.
So what happened then, this is... this is before streaming took over. So I got to mixtape all that shit. So that's what I did. I just started, we put that shit out for free. And they got me shows. And then, of course, Cool and Dre they threatened to sue and all kinds of extra crazy shit.
Sue for what though?
Well, you find a whole lot of tricky terms to hit you with. Problem is, I was in the trap. You couldn't scare me with that shit. You would have done better catching me lacking with a pistol than telling me in an email.
I'm gonna sue you.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna sue you.
Go right ahead. Nigga, I'm gonna get contempt of court before I get the fucking lawsuit. And they sue you. I gotta go to fucking Connecticut to go to court for this shit.
Yeah.
Now I'm in the trap. Come find me. You fuck all this shit I'm talking about. They got nowhere to even serve me. So, I won't worry about none of that.
You ain't even got no address, man.
Know what I'm saying? Where you just gonna bring it to? You just gonna stop at East Memphis and say, anybody ever met Dunn Trip?
Y'all seen Trip?
Right. We got a fucking subpoena for him.
Hell no.
All right, where was you gonna get that? So I wasn't really worried about it. And then the contract with Interscope voided out the contract with Epidemic. They tried to play me. I guess they didn't understand that I understood it. But once Interscope let me go, I'm free and clear of all obligations.
Yeah. Everything.
So, they tried to double back and say, well, once that they terminated it, so now you back over here. I'm like, I think y'all need to, highlighted the shit, scanned it, and sent it back. Y'all might want to read this section right here. Because they say everything is terminated once we signed this. And y'all signatures on this page. So y'all agree that everything else is out the window. And either way, they talked all kinds of crazy shit in email. But like I said, the email.
that lawyer jargon.
In the email, nigga.
That's like when niggas send you beats that you didn't ask for, and then at the bottom it's got a legal disclaimer. If you use one of these beats, we gonna sue you. That sounds great, but that's like Walmart bringing a TV in my house, mounting it on the wall, and then telling me if you watch this TV without our permission, we're gonna sue you.
Right.
No, dumbass, you gave me a gift. You're gonna need a real lawyer present because clearly you don't know what the fuck you doing.
Right. So that just sounded like that was your learning moment for the industry as far as like labels.
Yeah, every step of the way. Even now I'm still learning because the industry, this shit just. The conniving shit never changes, but the inner workings of the shit, it keep changing. I came in, my contract was about CDs. It wasn't about no fucking streams, which was great. It was great that it turned out the way it turned out. Because fast forward, I would have been in the fucking building fighting for my streaming. Because we didn't even negotiate that. That wasn't even part of the fucking contract. And that shit took over before I was even out of the deal. Well, at least it started taking over for me. So, that would have been a whole nother headache. And them boys was pretty crooked. So, the only thing I think they just underestimated where I come from. I don't mean like the place I come from, but the environment, the background I come from. Because a lot of the shit they was doing, they was doing shit. They was charging me for being in the studio. They charged me one day. They fired the intern after he did it. That's another thing. They don't hire anybody, just a bunch of interns, and it's just just a revolving.
So they don't gotta pay nobody.
Right. I peeped that. So one day I'm in the studio. Well, I was supposed to be at my hotel. I flew in, they had me on whatever layover I was on, they had me drained. I'm like, man, I'm not trying to record today. So when I got there, they were supposed to be, somebody was supposed to be bringing me the key to my hotel room, which was weird to me. So I'm like, you go to the hotel and check in. I don't need nobody to bring me a fucking key.
Right.
So, I'm just sitting there waiting. An hour turning in about 8-9 hours.
Damn.
And while I'm sitting in there, when I first got there, they insisted that I listen to these beats. I just told you I ain't in no mood to record.
Right.
That's another thing about me. If I don't feel like it, I ain't doing it.
Right.
But that's with anything. It ain't happening.
Right.
So, I told them I wasn't in no mood to record. I was trying to rest. So, we go in the studio, they play 5 or 6 beats. That's another thing. I can't listen to, after we get past the 5th or 6th beat, I need a break. Because what happens then, you start hearing so much mediocre shit that when something just sounds better than the rest of them,
you want to give it a chance.
Right, exactly. And, that's the last thing I want. So, we listened to beats for maybe 20 minutes. And after that, I'm sitting in the waiting area. I'm just waiting on this nigga to pull up with the key. I'm just sitting here waiting. And end of the night, it's nighttime now. And the intern bring me my invoice. he bring me this invoice. First time I ever been handed an invoice. So when he handed it to me, I'm reading it. It's like $2,800. I'm like, $2,800 for what? I read it. The description said, listening to tracks. So I said, wow. I'm reading the time. They billed me for every hour I was sitting in there.
Oh, man.
So I'm like, damn. So right. So I'm like, how many times? And I'm a fucking lab rat. So I really be in it. Well, I used to really be in the studio. So I'm like, damn. So every time I came out here and recorded with y'all was billing me for every hour. So for all I know, I got months worth of $28, $2,800 a day.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow. So again, I'm an in-person person. So I went to Cool and Dre. Like, what the fuck is this? What make you think I'm gonna agree to pay $2,800 for being? I ain't asked to even be in the fucking studio.
Right.
So then on top of that, none of it went to the engineer. The engineer was an intern as well. So I'm like, man, y'all ain't really breaking bread. Y'all on some more shit. And Cool tell me, man, you don't got to pay that. The label got to pay it. Interscope got to pay it. I said, nigga, I'm signed to a record deal. Every expense is recouped.
Right. To me.
I said, right. So you tell me I ain't paying it. That nigga, I ain't stupid.
Yeah.
So he kept trying to push the envelope. He was like, this shit is the label paying for it. You're not paying for it. And this is just us trying to run game on the label. I said, listen, where I come from, if you was middleman and you cut me out of it, you'd be dead. Mm-hmm. If you really was trying to run a play, you would have hit me to the play. I'd be involved in the play. But since I'm not, you running the play on me. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, after that, I never went back to the studio, which was great because, like I said, fast forward, we got the audit and they say I'm in the studio with these niggas and I'm not. It's impossible.
Right.
And they couldn't prove that I was because I could prove that I wasn't. Right. So, but either way, a lot of that shit is just super conniving. And, I learned from just about all of that shit. Like I said, even now I'm still, I'm still learning from it. But I couldn't use the music. I couldn't keep it, but that didn't keep me from, benefiting from it.
Mm-hmm. How long after that, after you get out of that, you and Lito link up?
Man, Lito had already linked up during that, and they didn't want us to do that. This when we did the first Step Brothers. They was
trying to step on that?
Bro.
Yeah, they was trying to block it. But, But again, man, I like I said, I think they underestimated my background. Because me and Star sat, we did those records. They said we couldn't put those records out. And a lot of it was, we wound up, T-Minus made one of the beats on the tape. And that's how I found out, y'all be getting niggas beats and y'all ain't took care of y'all business. Because if you get the beat to me, I assume it's handled. Because when you gave it to me, I'm for the users. I thought that was the fucking point.
Yeah, right.
Either way, a lot of that they didn't take care of. And, they was doing everything they could to persuade us not to drop it. But we, of course, Star wasn't signed to them, so he didn't give a shit.
Right.
And I ain't give a shit. What you gonna do? Charge me? Oh, we gonna recoup it? Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
So, we put that motherfucker out anyway. And then when that shit started growing, they was like, yeah, doing interviews and shit. Yeah, we thought it was a great idea to pair them. Like, y'all ain't pair a motherfucking thing. Y'all ain't do nothing. They just, they get to run back behind it once it's successful and take some credit for it. I just never really been the argumentative type, if that makes sense. I ain't gonna go make no post and say y'all lying and all this extra shit. Cause then we look like two bitches arguing. And, everybody on the outside is like, man, look how messy this shit is. So I ain't sweat it. And that shit built a brand that Interscope nor Epidemic could ever foresee. So
they lost.
Thank God for that.
Hell yeah.
So we would have missed out on all this greatness.
And then look, crazy thing, shortly after I got out the deal, Jimmy Iovine left Interscope and went to Apple. See, and Jimmy was telling me this shit when he was signing me. Like, he had it all planned out. This shit happened 5-6 years later, but he told me he's going to Apple. He's telling me how he manufactured the whole Beats by Dre thing and all that kind of shit. Yeah. He was like, he set some space up, and that's where he's moving to. And it was maybe my 4th or 5th time sitting down with him talking, so I don't really know him. So I don't know him enough to know if word is bond or not. For all I know, you just talking. And you talking shit that I don't understand what the fuck you talking about. And then fast forward, he left Interscope. So when he left Interscope, I was like, wow, he's the founder of the motherfucker. He left. And I'm like, well, I guess I got out, in time then. Yeah.
Now, like you said, this duo right here, like I told Lito, you niggas is better than Jordan and Pippen.
Oh, man.
Niggas better than Kyrie and Luka.
I can dig it.
You feel me? That y'all niggas, especially that album cover right there, for me. I used to throw parties in college. Right there, Step Brothers 1. The Step Brothers 1.
Okay.
So I used to throw parties in college. Me and my nigga Sean, he from Memphis too.
Yeah.
East Memphis. Nigga, we used to use this whole album cover, but we put the club on that room was Saturday night. You know what I'm saying? Ladies free. You know what I'm saying? Niggas, you throw your 10. You feel right? You know what I'm saying? Hey, college ID. We don't want no lope dogs in here.
I can dig it.
You know what I'm saying? That shit went major for big parties. But
then you know what? I think Star made that cover. He just cropped the fucking movie, the artwork for the movie or some shit. Yeah. That's why we just when we did the second one, we went and actually took pictures for it. But that happened because the first thing, the first wrench they threw in, it was like, we don't got the funds for it. Well, we haven't cleared the funds for this project. And we didn't give a shit. We was in our own pocket to do it anyway. And little did they know, because they was trying to block it, but they had no idea. We was in LA while this conversation was happening, but they didn't know we was done. We was recording like the last 2 songs right then. And it was like, man, we pushing the button. We don't really give a shit if if you on board or not. You'll be all right.
You'll be good. Don't worry about it.
So I mean, are you really going to sue your own artists?
They don't do that? Do they do it? I'm sure it happens.
They do that once shit fall apart.
Right.
Well, right now, y'all got to save face.
Yeah.
Right. So much shit happened in the negotiation of that deal that they, like I said, I'm positive that I made it even more turbulent by being a thorn in their side. But it was just certain shit I just could not rock with, and I wasn't going to rock with it. Yeah. Like, them niggas gave up 10% of everything to get Puffy in the picture. They assumed that Puffy would convince me to sign the original contract.
Say that one more time. They assumed that he signed you? Because
I respected Puffy, they assumed that he would be able to persuade me, but it didn't happen. Yeah. The biggest thing with them that they never could grasp is that I can't be enticed, I can't be persuaded. Right. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do prostitutes. All of this shit, all the shit they offering me, none of this shit appeals to me. And I kept trying to explain it and they didn't get it. So after a while, I'm coming to the studio by myself and y'all trying to feed me weed. I keep telling you I don't smoke. Y'all not listening. All right. I brought my 2 brothers and them niggas smoke like chimneys. So now you're going to have to go in your pocket every fucking 30 minutes because they for to keep rolling up shit. But, I couldn't get them to understand it. So they started, once they peeped, I had respect for certain people in the music industry. They started trying to pull them in. Like originally, they wanted to sign with Cash Money, and I didn't want to sign with Cash Money. I felt like Cash Money had so many artists that I would have to fight for relevance.
Yeah, back then they definitely had a lot.
Right, and I'm like, I ain't what I want to do. So their idea was they had Baby. They called me one day and put Baby on the phone.
Now look who they
what the fuck? Look who they employed. The goddamn family reunion in this bitch. Goddamn other stepbrother in this bitch. Hell yeah.
I don't think they got enough mics for you, Craig.
Hey, you know what we'll do? Sweet, get your ass.
We gonna make this work. Hell yeah.
Either that or y'all about the boys to men one
time.
Perfect time.
Right on time.
That nigga came with the Black Force energy too. That's diabolical.
Black Force didn't kick Sweet off the couch. Damn.
Sweet, move the donut, Sweet. You sit right there.
Hey, Sweet.
No, we ain't did Big Back out yet.
Hey, Sweet. No. If you want to say something, raise your hand, all right?
Pull a man.
Oh, man. You got Craig gonna pass you the mic.
Man, you good?
Tap on Lito. Ask
Man, you straight?
Hey, yeah.
You good, man?
Just let the roommates know. Hey, we letting the roommates know how this nigga man pulled up today.
He done switched up since you been here. Now.
Yeah,
bro.
That's a whole new nigga.
He used to just like this till you pulled up.
Ever since you met your ass, bro. This nigga polo down. Man, I'm telling you,
socks match his hat. Quit fucking playing with it.
Bro, drinking, bro, posting water on his story. On Instagram, bro. That's how you know that nigga wild.
All right, we back in here, man.
We back.
Yeah, Craig. We just so happened to be mildly. Speaking of you, it was asking me. When we did the First Step Brothers, I was letting them know. My label was against it every step of the way.
Oh yeah.
And until we popped that bitch out, then they ain't much have a choice. They started trying to tag along.
Yeah, they definitely was all the way against it, discouraged it, and then it came out and instantly was like, what can we do to support it? This is
so
amazing.
What did they do then? After they heard it, what did they do to try to? Dang, you ain't getting that nigga opportunity.
Well, I didn't let him. Star wasn't signed to him, so there wasn't much he could do in the ordeal anyway. But I don't know. I come from a different world. Where I'm from, you ain't gonna take credit for something you ain't do.
Right.
And we wasn't going in no shape, form, or fashion where we gonna adhere to that. Yeah. You ain't do it, you ain't do it. Just like, I ain't coming here and say, man, I built this shit. I didn't. It is what it is. And that's how I approached it. Of course, they had attitudes with it and shit. But like I said a second ago, they not in-person people. Everything's an email.
Yeah.
And, you can tell me in the email that you don't like what we did. I'm not going to respond to that shit. Yeah. It's an email,
Yeah.
That's great. Especially because most of the times, them emails came right after we was in person.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like you said, you could have just told me right there.
Right. If I stepped on his foot right here, he would say, I would say my bad, nigga. But, he would acknowledge it or address it. He ain't gonna wait till tomorrow and see me.
Be like, hey, nigga,
the
you
email
stepped on my shit,
everybody in it now. I'm like, man, what kind of shit is this? This ain't really how I work. Yeah. And that's the business that they was in for the most part.